Hey everyone, welcome back to the Cap Report. In this video, we will be discussing my predictions for the UFC 258 main event, Kamaru Usman versus Gilbert Burns. Before we get started, I'm thinking about trying to keep track of my record with these predictions. So just going off of the first one, the UFC 257 McGregor-Poirier one, I was 1-1 on those predictions. I got the main event, the Poirier TKO right, and I got the Hooker-Chandler one wrong. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the video. I think this is a lot more of an intriguing fight than people are giving it credit for. I think really when you start digging into the different storylines and the abilities of these fighters and how this could play out, that it really is a lot bigger than like what it looks like on paper. I mean, to start off, you guys are former teammates, which is, huge. They know probably the in and outs of each other's games more than anyone else, There's going to be, I feel like, a lot of games within games almost in terms of how they plan out what they're going to do and every move, it's going to be, well, I know he does this, so I do this, but he knows that my ability might be this, right? And I don't know, I guess it's hard to say if they actually will think that far into it, but there's an ability to do that because these guys know each other so well. And because these guys were former teammates, it makes the game planning aspect of this really intriguing as well. They shared the same head coach, or I believe he was the head coach, Henry Hooft, and he's already said that he's not going to corner Burns for this fight. And then you have Usman, who has left, and he's training under I believe, Trevor Whitman now. And Whitman has said that he doesn't want to, at this point, it's not about changing Usman's style. It's more so building on it and adjusting it, tinkering, where he sees, a chance for improvement. And so I think that it's another really intriguing aspect because it's been almost a year now that Usman's been training with Whitman. And so how does that affect how these guys know each other? Does Usman learn new things that, Burns won't be prepared for? Or, I guess that can go either way, right? But you would think that maybe there's more for Usman to grow with because he's entered an entirely new atmosphere. But I don't know, that's hard to say, but it's another intriguing aspect of it, I think. But at the same time, if you're training under the coach who trained Usman, he's going to know maybe even more than you do about him, He's going to know what he's built up in him as a fighter and where he still needs to grow. So I think the game planning aspect and the coaching can also be a really intriguing aspect of this matchup. So looking at the odds for this fight, we have Usman as a -270 favorite and Burns as a +210 underdog. This I don't agree with. I think this is a lot closer of a fight. That because I think that Burns can be competitive anywhere this fight goes. Standing up, on the ground, the only place I think that Usman has a big advantage would be maybe the clinch. But even then, maybe there's some room for Burns to work. Gilbert Burns is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and a world champion. Because of this, I don't think that he should be afraid of the takedown threat of Kamaru Usman. If the fight goes to the ground, there's not really a problem for him, He has the ability to be competitive in that arena. He thinks that he can submit Usman from anywhere. If this fight goes to the ground, I think it really will be a question of the offensive ground game of Burns versus the defensive and kind of controlling nature of Usman's style in general, but particularly his ground game. Because of these facts, I don't think that this fight is going to go to the ground. It's probably going to stay standing. You're going to get something similar to the Covington-Usman fight. I think the difference, though, here is that Burns is a better striker than Covington, at least in my opinion. It doesn't play in Usman's favor even to stay standing as much, right? Because at least with the Covington fight, they were both strong at wrestling and they were both weaker in the striking aspect. So, it was a little bit better for Usman in that regard. Then here it's go to the ground and you could get submitted, you stay standing, and you're striking with the guy who's, more risk-taking and explosive than you are. And that leaves us with the clinch, and I think that's Usman's best path to victory for this fight is the clinch work. I think that it will be somewhat similar to how he treated Masvidal, except for, Masvidal, he was able to take to the ground a lot more, but you also saw a lot of clinch work, and I think, that's going to be Usman's path to victory here is get Burns in the clinch, get him against the fence, lean on him, make him carry your body weight so that you're going to tire him out, hit him with the elbows, hit him with, you're not going to be able to hit combinations, but, get some punches in, knees, his loved toe stomps, and yeah, and actually, I mean, the toe stomps do have some effect in that, if you mess up his feet, he's not going to be able to plant as much and strike right. I'd say, maybe a little less effective than leg kicks, but, I think it's a similar aspect of it makes it harder for a guy to plant and throw, heavy punches. But yeah, I think that's his path to victory is a lot of clinch work, maybe going to the ground a little bit, but as I said, you got to be careful with that. Maybe you look for a finish in the late rounds. I really don't see a way that Usman gets an early finish in this fight. Burns, when he was on the ground against Demian Maia, one of the best ever Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys in the UFC, he was able to get out of a lot. Maia had him in maybe in some dangerous areas, and he was able to get out of there. And so I don't think that's going to be very promising for Usman in terms of getting a finish on the ground, in terms of submission. I said maybe you catch him with something, but I don't see that happening. So yeah, maybe you tire him down enough that you force a finish late in like the 5th round, like as I said, similar to Covington. But I really see this fight being something like if Usman wins, he's gonna get a decision win. I think for Burns, the path to victory here is to really push the pace, pressure Usman, make him uncomfortable. Don't let him be the one in control of this fight, right? Keep the fight standing if you can. Well, as I said, it doesn't matter for him if it goes to the ground, but I think his biggest point of advantage over Usman is in the striking game. I think he's more of an explosive striker. I think he's got a little more power than Usman, right? He's got just a little more oomph in his punches than Usman does. And I think that, as I said, he's a lot more willing to take risks to push for that finish than Usman is. Usman's fine getting that win on points if he has to and if he's able to, right? But if you push the pace, you try to you control the octagon, you move him around, that's going to make him uncomfortable. And I think that you can push him into a position where he gets caught, because he doesn't have the greatest tendencies when striking. As I said, striking isn't necessarily his strongest suit. He's not terrible at it, but you can catch him with like his hands low or something. So I think that with the pressure, you can really make him uncomfortable, push him into a bad position, and catch him. I think that Burns could win through a finish or a decision if it went the distance. Obviously, that's a little dependent on how the fight flows and whatnot. And he has the cardio to do it, right? I mean, there's no question on Usman. Usman's gone 5 rounds multiple times. He's gone the distance in, title and non-title fights. So for Usman, I'm not really questioning the cardio. But we've seen Burns now go the full 5 rounds when he did with Woodley, and he looked pretty solid going into the later rounds, his cardio at least. So I think that if it had to go to a decision, he can win it that way. But I really think that he can get a finish maybe like mid-round here, right? So with that being said, my official prediction for this fight is Gilbert Burns by 3rd round TKO. I just think that he has the ability to make this fight competitive on wherever it goes. And because of that, I think that he can kind of, as I said, if he pushes the pace, I think that he'll get Usman out of his element, right? He's not able to control what's going on. He's not able to pick up the points. I think that he can catch Usman, really, ultimately. I think that he's the better striker and that he can catch Usman as long as he's able to break out of the clinch and not let Usman hold him, take him there and just hold him there the whole fight. With that being said, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe if you're new here and you want to see more of this type of content. Go ahead and let me know in the comments who you think's going to win and what you thought of my analysis and whatnot and my prediction. And yeah, I think that's everything. So until next time, thank you guys. This has been the Cap Report.